And to celebrate this parade, all the main buildings on the street were refurbished and painted. But when it came to this particular building on this cul-de-sac, they ran out of paint. And all they have left is blue-colored plumbing paint used for pipes underground. But then they just used that paint and painted the whole building blue as well, and it's in the exact same shade. So now, looking back at it, maybe there's also a bit of a tenuous link to use this blue in our bench design.
Earlier this year, the LFA launched the 4th edition of the City Ventures competition, a design competition in collaboration with Cheapside Business Alliance and Aldgate Connect Bid. The competition looked to transform Cheapside and Aldgate streetscape with imaginative and witty takes on much-needed public seating. We caught up with each of the winning designers to find out the story behind the benches. Here, Arthur and Jane tell us about their bench, It Takes Two.
So we're 10F, a sibling-founded collaborative practice, and we are working between different scales, and in this case it's the human scale for the bench. I'm an architect. I work mostly in public realm projects, so I have a slight obsession with public furniture, street furniture in general.
And I'm Arthur, and if you don't already know, Jane and I are siblings. Jane's still in London working in the architecture field, and I am currently in Rotterdam working more in the architecture fabrication and prototyping field. And now that it has been a bit more than a year and almost 2 years since we last met. So participating in this competition was also a means for us to have more interaction, and maybe we missed a bit of arguments and missed a bit of conflict. And this bench is a result of this as well.
So I think earlier in lockdown, the City of London was completely deserted. And it was to our surprise when we went on site in March that people were really starting to use the public spaces again. So there was a lot of observation of how people were interacting in different seating situations. And the question that came to us was, how do you maintain this 1.5 meter social distancing between two people in a seating setting? And the form is sort of generated from that.
I think it's quite inherent from the color choice to the form that we really wanted to generate a bit of joy in a city, because it is quite dire times the past year or so, and we sensed a bit of apprehension and anxiety in the city, but we would like people to come out again and interact responsibly as well. So we would like to inject a pop of optimism and a spark of lightheartedness when people see this bench.
So the original intention of this bench has always been to make it out of recycled material or partially recycled material. And we were sourcing local construction aggregate from construction sites and demolition sites to mix it into part of a terrazzo to create the bench. But in this weird and wonderful world, we know that even terrazzo plans do not set in concrete. And there were many other concerns and problems going on. So we have now considered to go full recycled material. And with the help of Small Plastics, we are now using their fully recycled Blue Dapple sheets to create a CNC fabricated bench.
What's interesting about the material is that it's fully recycled plastics, almost like 100 chopping boards per panel of plastic materials that they provide. So actually, when you're sitting on the bench, you're sitting on a whole pile of chopping boards reconstituted in this bench.
This bench is, apart from the hardware and fasteners, is 100% made from recycled material.
From the onset, we also really wanted it to be colorful. And Jane managed to find the perfect shade of blue that has a historical context to the city as well.
The blue is an interesting color. So the City of London, well, if you walk around, you might encounter these TARDIS-looking public phone boxes that were made, I guess it must be pre-war now. And you can still see them in several sites around the city. And it was sort of this idea that for some public furniture, you have a strong color association with it. So like with the red telephone box, everyone, has this strong association with the London iconic street furniture. And when we sort of encountered upon this City of London phone box, it occurred to us that this color could potentially have the same effect. And it was sort of paying homage to this idea that public amenities can be celebrated, with such an iconic color. So yeah, we literally took the same swatch of the police phone box here.
But the coincidence in this also comes from where Jane and I grew up in Hong Kong. In the neighborhood that we grew up in, there is this one house called the Blue House, and it is a 4 to 5 story building that on a bit of a cul-de-sac off the main road. And that main road has been the road of parade for the Queen when she visited Hong Kong. And to celebrate this parade, all the main buildings on the street were refurbished and painted to look presentable for the Queen. But when it came to this particular building on this cul-de-sac, they ran out of paint and they ran out of budget. And all they have left is blue-colored plumbing paint used for pipes underground. But then they just used that paint and painted the whole building blue as well. And it's in the exact same shade. So now, like looking back at it, maybe there's also a bit of a tenuous link to use this blue in our bench design.
We would like to acknowledge the help we received along the way from the people that took their time to assist us in realizing our design, from the expertise of our previous material option to the current iteration. Their help has been invaluable, and the process we went through was also very enriching. This bench is created with the help of Smile Plastics as our material supplier, CNC Projects for prefabrication, cutting and milling, and we have the great pleasure to have the mechanical savviness of Clever Mike Bike Shop from the local London area to help us assemble and install this piece of public street furniture. And it has been truly amazing to have encountered this local community spirit and also have the actual community that is not exclusively part of our design collective to come create, install, and help us on our bench.
You've been listening to Building Sound. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to hear more of our recent conversation, search for Building Sound on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your favourite podcast.